Hello and welcome to this short pathway session on networking. My name again is Brendan Lally. I'm a member of the Career Service here in the University of Limerick. As the slide says, networking for people who hate networking. That's pretty much in a nutshell acknowledges how most people feel when you ask them to network. So hopefully, by the end of the session, you'll feel less fearful and see the value of networking. So, when talking about networking, it is important to introduce the concept of the hidden job market. I want to throw a figure at you, and it's this: 85% of the positions available in any market are traditionally never ever advertised. They're filled by other means. And this is referred to as the hidden job market. Very often, the advertised roles in the graduate sector are the grad programs. And these seem to be the only show in town. They are heavily marketed by big corporates, and you could be forgiven for thinking that they're the only jobs available for graduates. That's not the case. Nobody's saying to ignore the grad programs from the big companies, but we would encourage you to diversify your applications and look at this what's SME sector known as the small medium enterprises. There is many very high performing, high tech, smaller companies with just as good opportunity, rewards and experience. So we know that many roles are filled through personal contacts, and they're often referred to as a hidden job market. To find these roles, you need to do what's called proactive job search. So proactive job search involves these different activities. Speculative applications, so this is approaching a company either directly or through a friend, even though there is nothing on the outside external website as an open role at the moment. Social media, and what we mean by social media predominantly in a network capacity would be using tools like LinkedIn. And then finally, the biggest part here is networking. In order to access this hidden job market, you need to be proactive. And by being proactive, we mean networking and using your contacts. Continuing with the hidden job market team, we talked about the proactive activities in order to access these roles that didn't get advertised. So we should mention what would be reactive. Okay, so reactive would be getting the roles that you see on the internet. We refer to this in the HR world as click and pray, where you just react to a job position. You click and forward in your CV. But the control and the activity stops there. You're at the mercy of the company to respond, whether they respond at all. Even though this position or these posts that are advertised only make up a smaller percentage of the actual opportunities, this is the most busy area for graduates. It's the busy pond that most graduates go fishing for jobs in. It has the most competition. The hidden job market has less competition, but it requires networking. Even though we know networking has more opportunity and is less busy for us, it still puts the fear of God in most people. And we always presume that networking is just for extroverts. This is not the case. We would recommend starting networking activities with what we call warm leads. These are people that you know already. Start there and then on to people that they know by introductions, etc., etc. So if you feel you don't have a network, I always suggest to have a look at your contact list in your smartphones. So let's have a look here who potentially could be contacts for you. The starting point of any good network is to identify your contacts. Brainstorming is definitely a way to identify a network and contacts. So a pen and paper is a good exercise, and here's some tips from ourselves. So look at your own friends and family, extended family, relatives, sport club members, neighbours, people in the community, current roles or past part-time jobs. Look at the connections you made there, even with customers. UL alumni that have done your course in last year, the year before, etc. University of Limerick staff and ourselves in the careers office. And finally, but not least, not to forget LinkedIn and how powerful a tool it is for networking. Okay, so you have a plan, you've identified the potentials of people that could help you in relation to job search. So just you need to decide on who you're going to speak to and what do you want from them to make the most of these approaches. So it is worthwhile to do a little research prior to establishing contact. You'll make a good impression if they feel you already know something about where they work and their company. So you might want to prepare a list of questions for your discussions so that you know what you want to get out of the conversation. If people are willing to take a call from you, it is helpful that you put in some work in advance. So use a telephone or face-to-face approach in the first instance. It's more personal and you're more likely to get a response than sending an email or a letter, etc. Have some ideas on what target job you want and be able to express that so that people can help you with your job search. Part 2. Likely in these conversations, people might be willing to take a CV from you and see where they can send it. So have an up-to-date CV at all times before making any approach to somebody in relation to networking. Be ready to tell your story. So they might start the conversation about, okay, so-and-so put me in touch with you. Maybe you can just tell me a little bit about you, what you're studying, what are you hoping to do post-graduation. Always use someone's name when you're contacting them and state clearly your connection. So if somebody has forwarded an email, maybe they haven't made an introduction, maybe it's a while since the other person has mentioned your interest in talking to them, so you just might need to refresh that. And outline at the outset the help that you need. So always ask for help and advice rather than a job. So a very neutral way to say is, look, if you had 2 or 3 minutes this week or next week to take a call from me, any advice you might have would be appreciated. That could go in an email rather than, I need you to help me find a job. Have some ideas on what you want work-wise, or else no one can help you with your job search. So you can't shrug the shoulders and go, I haven't a clue, I don't know. You need to come with some idea to people. Record the result of each report. So make a note who you were talking to, what they said, what pointers they gave you. You can open up a little Word doc on your laptop. And it is a nice idea to send a nice thank you message to them after they've taken the time to have a chat with you. Very often you'll find that people are willing to help where they can. Sometimes they're not certain on how they can help you. So here's some suggestions in relation to how people or contacts can assist you in the following areas. Firstly, finding out what a job is really like by telling you about their work, or arranging some work shadowing for you in this area, advising you on the skills and the qualifications that you'll need for their particular jobs that you may not see on the job description. They might even give you some background on typically how their company processes work. They'll be able to offer you an insight into their company and the culture of the company. So these are the norms. What you see advertised can be very, very formal. They might be able to dilute that a little bit for you. Perhaps they'll be able to review your CV and suggest some changes and improvements. And they can recommend other sources of information that will be able to help your research and introduce you to other contacts. And finally, inform you when any opportunities arise, be it for placements or for graduate positions. And suggest employment avenues that you may not have considered exploring or even know about. So, most of these calls, they offer general advice based on their own personal experience of work. But it's good to remember that companies like their employees to refer in potential candidates, as research shows that referrals have higher successful rates. So these are known as employee referral systems. So an employee referral is a structured program that companies and organizations use to find talented people by asking their existing employees to recommend candidates from their existing networks. And in return, companies offer their employees different types of employee referral rewards, such as cash bonuses or gift tokens, depending how far the referred CV gets in the selection process. So being able to develop and use contacts is an important skill that will help you to be successful, not only in your own search, but for job opportunities in areas of your life. Okay, finally, I want to highlight a very, very powerful tool in the whole area of networking, and that is the LinkedIn platform. So to use the alumni search for research on the market, to identify networking opportunities, you first obviously have to do one of our classes in relation to LinkedIn, or build a basic profile to get up and running. Obviously, LinkedIn, you can always add to it over time, but you do need to start with a basic profile in order to access alumni research. So if you have exhausted maybe your warm leads, or you're motivated, to go further out in the network, but you're just wondering how to identify people that you should talk to, this is definitely for you. So as it says here, you set up a LinkedIn profile, you type in University of Limerick, you click on the University of Limerick page on LinkedIn, alumni section, and that'll bring up over 60,000 alumni. Certainly you don't need to troll through each and every one of them. They can be going back many years. Maybe you'll take last 5 years for your course, filter it down by years attended, where they live. You're looking at the Irish market, or maybe you're looking at another area in the world. Maybe you're identifying alumni in certain companies you're interested in. You can filter by where they worked, what they do, their job title, etc. And this will be the filter to find out what they studied. So that's an excellent tool to identify networking alumni, potential people to reach out to as part of your networking. So that finishes this short session on networking. I hope you found that useful. Some suggestions and concepts to get the ball rolling in regards to networking, and see the opportunity that's there, and see how big a part it plays in landing possibly your first graduate role.